Hello, my beautiful selfish babes. It's your girl, Olanike Osibowale, here with another Selfish Babe podcast. And I'm just so excited. I'm actually really excited to be introducing you all to Miela. She is the bad bitch witch, the high priestess, the baddie that got some magical juju on her. Okay? Say hello to Miela, everybody. Miela, say hello to everybody.
Hey, I'm so excited to be here. Nervous, but very excited. Been looking so forward to this.
Shady. So I want to say, how I was first introduced to you. How did I first come to know about you? I think it's through Instagram, and
Hmm.
I just really admired and still do admire just the way that you share your spiritual practice. I think
Hmm.
one thing that really drew me to you was the beauty in which you shared it, and it was also the depth in which you shared it.
Mm.
Because there's since I've been on my own spiritual journey and my selfish babes know, especially when it comes to African spirituality or any type of spirituality connected to Africa, I have been able to just see the beauty.
Hmm.
And even while being in certain traditions, when I talk to people that are outside of the traditions, you know, for them it's ugly, for them it's demonic, for them you going to hell, for them if it's not the church, it's the church or the highway. And
Yeah.
I just feel like I like for you when I see the post, it's just like she gets it, she sees it, she's in it, and it's like
Hmm.
it almost comes from it just feels like it comes from the heart, and I love that, and I love that you share that because it's just like I feel like I wish more people would, even though I know that there are a lot of people that, and I get it, keep the stuff sacred and closed so they don't share so much, but I feel like what you share is enough and it's
Hmm.
enough to even change people's minds to what they
Yes.
was because I feel like we see things in mainstream media. It's kind of like that's what people see. Like, I mean, the movies just shows like people just say, "Oh, you're doing that voodoo stuff," but they're saying it in a derogatory way. Just like when I
Hmm.
tell my selfish babes, like for you in case you don't know, I tell my selfish babes, a selfish babe is a woman who selfishly and authentically loves herself, right? And so for
Yes.
me, I just wanted to twist the word selfish just a little bit more positively because you're putting yourself first. And so it's like when people are saying, "Oh, you're doing that voodoo stuff," it's not necessarily a positive statement. It's a negative statement. And so it's
Hmm.
just like when I see people sharing African spirituality in a way that is just pure and in their heart, I love to see it. And
Hmm.
that has been what has attracted me to just your Instagram and just learning about you. And so I know our selfish babes are going to want to know and they're going to want to follow you as well if they aren't already following you. But can you just tell us a little bit about your spiritual journey? And I'm going to ask after as a reminder, just like what makes you want to share in this way
Hmm.
from your heart or just like show what I believe is the truth of African spirituality.
Yeah. Um, so I actually would like to start with like, why do I share? Um, from being an African American woman, a Black woman born in America of African descent, um, and not having any knowledge of these things like most of us didn't before we got into it, having any access, having anyone around us, it's important to me to share this for other African American women to see.
Yeah.
You hear a lot about us in America, Black people in America. Oh, you guys don't know your culture. You guys don't know where you come from. You don't know what your ancestors. You don't know anything because we don't know where in Africa we're from. There's all these conversations about that. And so how can we know, or where do you start if nobody is showing something or nobody is, how do you start? I see a lot of people being made fun of because of trying to find out where they're from or trying to figure it out. And I think that that's messed up. So it's like, we can't shun other Black people for not knowing their culture and knowing where they're from if we're not giving them a place to start or any type of reference point. Um, so I do share a lot, and there's a lot that I don't share. Um, and I know, like you said, a lot of people have opinions on like what's sacred and what's not to them. And I think that that's just an case by case, an individual. What you feel is sacred to you is sacred to you, and what you feel you want to share, don't share or share. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, But I share because also too, like, I've heard comments about our ancestors didn't share, and it's like, but they didn't have resources to share. You didn't have
Oh,
phones.
we have cell phones.
You know
Okay.
what I mean? But I believe that if they did, they would have, because they documented everything. You know what I mean? That's how voodoo is taught, by word of mouth. We documented things. We drew. The fucking Egyptians was drawing on the walls. You know, we tried our best to show what we were doing, how we were living. If they had cell phones and Instagram, they would have been showing more. The only reason they didn't is because they didn't have that. You know, yes, things are sacred, of course, always going to be, but there would have been more shown if they could have shown it. And so I believe that we are blessed to be in this day and age in 2023 with cell phones, with technology, to share, for me and you to meet through this in this way, and we can share, to gather people and bring them to Haiti, bring them to Africa through these phones.
Yeah.
That's the ancestors' dream. You know what I mean? So there's only way we could do that is by sharing and talking about it. You know what I mean? So I'm never going to stop sharing. I'm never going to stop talking about it. And the deeper I go and the more experiences I have, I will continue to share. So that's why I share. And secondly, your other question about, go ahead.
There, but I think that's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's so beautiful because I do hear that a lot about, oh, well, our ancestors weren't sharing. And you're
They
right.
couldn't.
I think your perspective is reflected.
Yeah. They wish they could.
I remember you are an Aquarius, right?
100%, girl. I'm loving it. Aquarius.
Well, and I know for Aquarius, sometimes we are the innovators, you know, and we do
Yep.
things differently than everybody else. So I love
Yes.
perspective, and I just want to say to my selfish babes, if you are not following Miala, what's your Instagram, Miala?
It's underscore Miala Doche. So it's my first name and my middle name. That is my real name. I have plenty of names, but that is the name that my birth mother gave me, and I do go by that as well. So I don't need to be called any other names and all that. I don't need that ego stroke. It's okay. Like, my name is Miala and I love my name. And so that is my Instagram name.
Say, but if you guys are not following Miala already, I will say just follow, scroll, read. You did mention that you are a writer, and I can see that. I think that when
Mm-hmm.
you take the time and you write your captions in your post, people can really feel you, and
Mm-hmm.
and it's appreciated. I think that your sharing is beautiful, and I think I personally believe that that's what we will see more of in the future when it comes to maybe our generation practicing African spirituality. It may not be the older
Yeah.
generation because I know some people are very traditional. They're not going to be on social media, but I
Mm-hmm.
would say even for me, just learning about this stuff, I learned through word of mouth as Instagram was just becoming popular. But now that Instagram and TikTok and stuff is becoming popular, one of the most popular questions that I get is just like, well, how do you start? Where do you start? What do you
People
do?
write me that every day.
Yes. And
Every
so
day.
I can only give so much because, of course, I can't say, well, go to this person and they're going to help you and you're going to get initiated and do all these things because they have follow up questions. And of course, I believe everybody should be guided by a trusted elder, of course. And I
Mm-hmm.
feel like, with your ancestors, the way will be open, of course. But people
Mm-hmm.
always ask that. And so it's kind of like people are going to go to Google, people are going to go to social media.
Because they don't
And
have any option.
yes, but what I get from the traditional realm is like, oh, don't go on Google. The stuff is not accurate. Don't go on social media. The stuff is not accurate. And even though I understand that some things are not accurate, it's like we're young, we have phones, like we're gonna go there. We're gonna go to the internet. You know, I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of sometimes the clash I have seen between very, very traditional and maybe just a new way of doing things. And sometimes I'll get, oh, well, the internet's not accurate, and I can get that as well. But it's like that's where they're gonna go. So I just
But
want to
even though the internet is not 100% accurate, as a person who is deeply in these traditions, the internet is a great start. It
exactly.
is. And it just is what it is. YouTube is a great start. Google is a great start for just the basic mundane information. It is. There's nothing wrong with that. And I think people need to stop acting like, oh, you got that information from Google. I mean, goddamn. Like, you know what I mean? A lot of us
No.
you go, where else can you go? You know, and so this is why, and then this is why I post, because yes, you got Google, you got me, and there are other women who do post a lot and speak a lot about these things. And it's needed, it's necessary. We cannot talk about as like a collective of people, of Black people, that we want to see ourselves liberated and evolving as a culture and as a people if we do not talk about these things, our ancestral traditions, if we do not talk about voodoo, if we do not have voodoo on the forefront.
Yeah.
Everybody's tired of being Christian and Christianity being on the forefront. And then when we bring voodoo, everybody's scared. Like, come on, you know what I mean? So what do you want to do? So the same way that we have grown up and lived our lives seeing Christianity and Islam on the forefront of so many things, I want to see the day where we just wake up and voodoo is normal. Voodoo is everywhere. And it's like, you know what I mean?
Yes.
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 That's what I want to see. And I do believe that that shift is happening. We have a lot of people who are voodoo and Ifa, and you can go to the internet on Instagram and that's all you see. And regardless if I think this person is doing it right or not, that's not my concern. And I know a lot of people pay attention to those particular things, or this ain't right, or that ain't right, or this house is fake, or this is fraudulent, and this and that. None of that matters to me. I'm just happy to see y'all doing it. I'm just happy to see y'all in the door. I'm just happy to see it. I don't know if you remember when we had the retreat, and we asked everyone about why they were there. And I don't know if it was you or someone asked me, what do I want to get out of this retreat? And I told you guys, I said, I'm just happy that y'all are here. Like, to have 20 some Black women come from America to Haiti to learn voodoo is my wildest dream. And like that's huge. That's huge. We didn't just go to, the South, or we went to Haiti, and that shit was hard to navigate to get to, and so it was it was huge, and so for me, I want to do that 1,000 times to keep bringing Black women through that Underground Railroad. Like, come on, let's go, bringing y'all back there. So yeah.
No, I agree with you. I think that has always been something on my mind. It's just like, I just want people to know that there are other options. Because when I did Christianity, that was the option. And when I was like, well, I'm not really feeling Christianity. And at one point, my selfish babes know this, I was questioning my spirituality. And I was like, oh, I'm an atheist, or I'm agnostic. I just didn't resonate with it. And eventually, when I went to college, went to FSU, went to FAMU after, and I learned more about just like Black shit. And I learned, I'm like, oh, these are the options. Oh, ancestor veneration. Oh, this feels good to my spirit. Oh, I'm meeting different Oshun priestesses, and they're talking about these things and talking about spiritual baths and all these things. I'm like, oh, this feels really good to me. And so for me, I resonate with what you say in terms of the sharing. It's just like, I just want you guys to have another option. Like, for me, whatever people decide to do is what they decide to do. But it's like, if people don't know that it's an option, or the option is ultimately demonized every single time, and they're not that option, then it's just like, that's not fair. And I don't like that. So I totally agree with you. And even when you mentioned voodoo, like, I feel like that is one of the most, what people view as scary African practices. I will say that. I feel like I can say, like, right now we can say look at me, like Ifa, maybe even Kemetic stuff, but it's like when you say voodoo, it's still got that, I don't know about that response.
You don't know.
Yeah.
That's what you got to tell them. You don't know about it, and you should. That's what you should start saying. I know you don't know.
I like that response. So even when you talk about taking the woman, I want to say this to my selfish babes that are listening or watching. You guys know I got all types of different women that watch and listen. And so when you are listening to Miala speak, just know she's speaking from her own perspective as a Black woman and a lover of Black women. And so even if you are not a Black woman listening to this podcast, keep an open mind, keep an open heart, listen. And as a Black woman, listen to the podcast that may not be into African spirituality, but a little curious, definitely stay tuned and continue to listen. But you talking about taking these group of women to Haiti. Haiti is like one of the countries that people fear. It's not even just the voodoo. It's the actual country, because even when we were talking, the trip was going on, it was just like, you talk about it all the time. It's a level 4, level 5. Don't go to Haiti. Don't go, don't go, don't go. And then you have a lot of Haitians who don't go, that are Haitian. And so even the fact that we went to Haiti, which I believe people view in a negative light or afraid, honestly, is powerful. And let's talk about that. Let's get into that. Talk about
I will say the colonizer has done a wonderful job at brainwashing our people.
Yeah.
And, you know, when people are scared to go to Haiti, it's just like outside of voodoo or whatever. I know that a lot of it has to do with Haiti being a poor, poverty-stricken country.
Yeah.
And people just view it the way that they view it. And they've even blamed voodoo for that,
Yeah.
you know. But it's just like, as far as Black people, how could you be scared to go to the only place on earth that we know our ancestors were free and
Yeah.
freed themselves? How could you be? I'm running there. I want to run. You know what I mean? Like, how could you be scared of that? Like, y'all not scared to stay here? Like, you know, yes, we have some conveniences here, but we're going through it over here. You know what I mean? Like, you know, one thing when I first started going to Haiti some years ago, the thing that stood out to me the most was just like the culture is just like, and seeing Black people in so much abundance. I'm just like, there's Black people everywhere. And my first thought was, Black people in America deserve this. It wasn't about the poverty or the luxury or anything. They deserve this close-knit culture and understanding of who we are and where we come from in our spiritual, our ancestral spiritual practices. It was so like tight when I first was going. I was like, whoa, like Black people in America need this. Like they deserve this. They deserve to see this. My Black daughters deserve this understanding. You know, it was colorful. It was bright. The trees were greener. The fruit was fresher, you know, everything. And I was like, oh my God, like, you know, the Blackness was blackened more, like the sun was on, you know what I mean? And I was like, oh my God, like, do y'all not see this? Like, you know, and so when I first went to Haiti, I don't know how long you've been following me. I was talking about that. I was posting about it and posting so many pictures, and I was talking about that because I wanted my followers in America to see. And I'm just like, you're like, this is beautiful, you know, and especially because a lot of people have this negative connotation about Haiti. So I always say people can say what they want to say about Haiti, but that's their shit. They own it.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. They are a very beautiful, prideful people, hardworking people, family oriented people. Haiti is, especially for Black people who are wanting to get back into African spiritual practices and haven't gotten to Africa yet.
Yeah.
That is a great entry point.
Right there. Right
Yes. Yes. And can't, you know, they ain't got to Africa yet. Haiti is a great entry point. Haiti is the only place, in my opinion, and that may be a strong opinion, that has kept our African ancestors' practices alive so well. Not just in voodoo, but just in lifestyle, and just culture. When I went to Haiti the first time, I was like, I didn't see them as Haitians. I see them as Africans. I was like, these are Africans. You get what I'm saying? You know, and so if you didn't know that they were speaking Creole, you would just think that they're speaking another African language. They look African, they live African, and that is because they have kept that shit alive and they fought to keep it alive. So, I mean, yeah.
I would say when you were talking about just seeing Haiti and being there and what you were feeling, the first thought that came to my mind was when we were at the beach. And when you're at the beach, you see so many Black people in the water. Like we're just walking. So many Black people. And I know for some people, they're like, okay, well, you see Black people at the beach and it's not a big deal. And I'm like, no, it's a really big deal. And this is why people always talk about representation and why it matters. If you're in Florida and maybe you're on South Beach, you will see Black people, but you see all different types of people. And so to be in a place and you just see Black people hits different when you're Black, you know, because if you're in America, you predominantly see different people or white people a lot of the times. You know, even when I was up in Tallahassee, I would be in my classes, one of two Black people. And so that's the norm in my mind. That's what my mind is used to say. And then when I was at the beach, I said, oh, wow. It was just beautiful Black people swimming, playing the soccer. It was just gorgeous. And I was like, oh.
And it's because us Black Americans, we live in America in this melting pot with everyone, but everyone else has that but us. Asians have that. Europeans have that, can go to Europe and see predominantly Europeans everywhere in certain places. You know, we're the only ones who don't have that as Black Americans. Even Africans on the continent have that. They can see Africans wherever they go. We don't have that. So when we go to places like Haiti and we saw these Black people, we immediately gravitate towards it. And
Yeah.
that's what I was saying in the beginning, that I see a lot of negative comments about that online, that like as Black Americans, we're coming into these things that are not ours, which is insane to me. Because it is, you know,
Yeah.
but it's like I see a lot of us being a lot of negative comments about us gravitating towards our long lost cousins and our families, you know what I mean? And yeah, I understand why we're gravitating towards it, and we should.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think we should as well. I think sometimes it just is a hierarchy thing, a quote unquote hierarchy thing, and
Mm-hmm.
there's people. There are Africans in Africa and different countries of Africa that do not fuck with this shit. They do not fuck with
Yeah.
African spirituality. They is only Christian. That's what it is. And if it's African
Mm-hmm.
spirituality, they may look at it negatively, or they only use it for one or two things, and they're back in the church. So
Yeah.
you know, it is what it is. I think that
Mm-hmm.
I again would love to see people continue to gravitate towards African spirituality that really have that calling in their heart. And just like you want it to just be like one of those, oh, it's just a normal thing. Like there's no judgment. Oh, she practiced voodoo. Oh, okay, she practiced Ifa. Oh, she should, it's just a normal
That's how
shit.
casual it should be, though. That's
Yes.
how casual it should be amongst Black people all over the diaspora. And I know right now, spiritually, what I'm being shown and told through spirit, through dreams, and through my experiences is that these spirits don't care where you were born in the diaspora. They don't care if you were born in freaking Wisconsin and you Black. If you're listening, if you understand, they're speaking to you. They're speaking to you, and they're coming to get you. They're right now. Spirit is working with who will listen, who understands. In this day and age, spirit is working with, like, they are working through our technology. You know what I'm
They,
saying? That the
they
same
are.
technology that people are like, stop posting, stop talking. Spirit is waiting for this day where they could connect all of, and our ancestors connect all of their children,
I
and
mean,
have this giant
sometimes I get
conversation.
messages through Instagram. I be feel like I'll get a message through Instagram. I know my ancestors sent me that post. Okay, so
Yes, yes. This is their wildest dream, where all of their descendants could have this giant conversation.
let's see.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
so.
I totally agree. So I
Mhm.
want to talk about where the Walters meet retreat, and
Mhm.
get your understanding about like how it came about, why you wanted to do it, and how your experience was birthing it and seeing it come alive.
Mhm. So me and my sister, my sacred sister, Mambo Lanis, um, we actually started talking about it after I was her doula. She had her beautiful baby in Haiti, and when I got back home, we were like, we got to do something together. We got to bring our work together. Um, and so we were like, I had already had the hoodoo class, and she had like a voodoo farming, but we wanted to bring hoodoo voodoo together, and which has always been my one of my motives, to show the synchronicities.
Yeah,
Between the two, especially for American people, Black American people. And so I was like, let's do a hoodoo voodoo, bringing this together, showing the differences, showing how they're the same. And I was like, and at the end, we got to bring them all to Haiti. And she was like, oh
yeah,
my gosh, yes. And so, we started talking about the course, and then I started thinking about the name and what that looked like to me. What I imagined our class is a bunch of what I felt it meant when we were creating it, the way I perceived our conversations is like we're bringing different Black people from all over the diaspora to this middle, bringing them back to Africa essentially.
yeah,
And I was like, we're bringing us all through the water, where you were dropped off, where your ancestors were dropped off, where your ancestors dropped off, your ancestors dropped off. We're bringing y'all all back. It don't
yeah,
matter. And so that's why we came up with the name Where the Waters Meet,
yeah.
because where the water, so yeah. Um, yeah, we have been working on it for a while in secret,
Mhm.
before we actually started letting y'all enroll in it.
Well, tell us a little bit about the journey of the days because I can tell a little bit of y'all. Because I know on my last podcast interview, when I had interviewed Mambo Louise, we talked about it a little bit as well, and I've shared a lot of it as well. And
Mm-hmm.
me, I feel like you guys really immersed us in Haitian culture, uh,
Mm-hmm.
community, in voodoo culture. Like, I said I came there to learn. That's really what
Yes,
I came to learn and experience, and I saw and I experienced and I learned, and guys, it was so beautiful. And
it
like
was.
fucking spiritual bath, bitch. She
Yes.
had a traditional fucking bath. I was like, like it was.
Y'all had two. Y'all had the bath, and then y'all had the sweetening bath.
Yes, we
Yeah.
did have two. And so let's just kind of talk about like, I guess like that, bringing that together, your experience doing that, and just a little bit of what that was.
Yeah, so the baths were magnificent. Baths are something that is done through I believe, all of our African practices. Everything can be cured with a bath. Everything can be cured with some water, some Florida water, some holy water in the church. You know what I mean? Like everything can be cured with that water. And so that was one of the things immediately we knew we were gonna do was baths. And then like you guys went and we foraged the leaves and the same leaves for the bath we use for the tea, like all of those things that go together. It was beautiful. And yeah. And then we sent y'all home with that sweetening bath. Y'all was sticky so that y'all could go home and get y'all blessings stuck to y'all. Yeah.
I just have two things to say because that retreat, I really felt like it was a really immersive experience into voodoo as well as Haitian voodoo. And I feel like that experience was mind changing and mind shifting when it comes to what Haitian voodoo is. And I felt the same way I felt when I learned about Lukumi, about Ifa, when I learned about the Orisha. So now I'm learning about the Loa. And being able to, and I've talked about this already, but being able to see them come down, come through, hug, greet, talk, speak, was really profound for me. And then I had mentioned for some in my last podcast, just even meeting Baba Ogu was amazing. Like that was like top things highlights for me.
As always, yeah.
And I remember sitting in Mambo Lanisa's yard, and it was right when we were eating, and after Papa Ogu came, and the sun was setting, and Haitian music is playing, and we're all in white. We took the baths, and I was like, "This is amazing."
Yes.
In my mind, I'm like, "This is a part of what true abundance is."
Yes.
It was a sense of peace. I'm listening to Haitian music. We're being fed. We're sitting in community, chatting. The yard with trees and like freshness. And I know that some people like they may not understand what I mean through my video. Like, I'm Jamaican, so I do go back to Jamaica at least once a year, and like being in a yard with trees and fruits and shit is nice. And it's just like to sit in your yard, the sun is setting, you hear little animals making their noise. Oh, I can't describe it. That is.
But that's what I was saying when I first went to Haiti. I'm like, this is what y'all are calling poor. Y'all don't see this wealth. Y'all don't see this abundance. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Like, what are we not seeing the same thing? And we're not seeing the same thing. People are truly not, you know what I mean? So some have eyes to see and some don't. And that's why I said spirit doesn't care where you're from in the diaspora. They speak into the ones that got the eyes to see. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And even there, I think it was at the last one of the last feds that we had, and Papa Ogu had come down, and he said to a few, he's like, "Oh, this cannot be your only time coming to Haiti." And I feel like that was such a good message for me because in my mind, like back in the day, I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna go to Haiti one day, but I want to go in a group." Like that was always my thing. I want to go to Haiti one day. I want to go in a group, because I didn't know anybody. I don't speak Creole. And so to be able to see that trip come up and for you and Mambo Lonise to put it together and for me to actually go with a group, which is what I actually wanted, and even more than I wanted, because at that time I wasn't even thinking about Haitian voodoo. I just like, I want to just go to Haiti, period.
Yeah.
Just experience that and know that, oh, come back again. Like this should not be your only time. It's beautiful to me. And I know we have already said thank you, Miela, but I really want you to continue to be proud of yourself, because the fact that you did bring us to Haiti is powerful. Like literally, it's powerful. I have never seen anybody do that, and especially to come and learn about Haitian voodoo and hoodoo at the same time. Like you said, it's like the Underground Railroad is bringing us back to our roots. And
that's how it felt. That
Yeah,
drive y'all had to take. The drive through the mountains and stuff.
girl,
Yes.
girl, I'm just now remembering that. I was just thinking about it when we were there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, you're right. The actual journey there.
It's a journey. Yes, it's a journey.
It's
Not
a
just
journey,
to Haiti, but just to where we were in Haiti.
yes,
Like,
right. You're right about
yes.
that. I just want you to be proud of yourself. I know
Thank
you're
you.
proud of you, and it was just so beautiful. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I did want to get into this because you had mentioned this in one of the calls that we had. I think when
Mm-hmm.
it was happening, and it was kind of about your spiritual journey. And you mentioned getting a candle, I think from House of Hoodoo, and you just really
Mm-hmm.
had money at the time, and you needed that shit to work. And I just kind of want
Mm-hmm.
to just do that story for our selfish babes that are maybe just starting out their spiritual journeys, but like, what brought you here? Like, what started your journey? Your spiritual.
Okay. Yeah. So I was living in Miami at the time and I was having dreams of New Orleans. I'd never been to New Orleans. I had been to smaller parts of Louisiana. My mom's dad, her whole family side is from um different parts of Louisiana, New Orleans, Ruston, Louisiana, Monroe, where I just was there and I had my farm. She didn't know them. Her dad died when she was 11, met him like twice, didn't, so never had communication with that family, but I had been there for other things. So I'm like, why am I dreaming about New Orleans? Like, I've never been to New Orleans. And at the time, because I didn't grow up with my mom's dad side of the family or didn't know them, I'm not even correlating that my ancestry is from there. I'm just like, why the fuck am I? Because I'm like, I don't know these people, so I'm not thinking connecting the two. And
Yeah.
so, and they were happy ass dreams. So I was going through a lot in Miami at the time, and I had been thriving in Miami, and shit just started to went down fast. I mean, with a couple weeks fast, like gone, negative account, everything gone. The relationship I was in, done. House eviction, all these things, and I said, I gotta move. I think it's time to move, and
Yeah.
I had like $40 to my name, and I went to the casino in Miami. And my friend, she was like, "What you gonna say? Bitch, what I got to lose? $40." So I'm about to go play this $40. I went in the casino and was there for 3 hours, slow playing. And I
Yeah.
ended up winning like almost $4,000 in a couple hours. And she
Wow.
was like, "Oh my God, now you can pay your rent." I said, "Nope, I'm moving to New Orleans. I'm taking this money and I'm leaving." She was like, "What? You don't know anybody?" I was like, "They're telling me to go. Everything, and I got this money so to go, not to stay here. They let
Hmm.
everything fall so I could leave. They blessed me with the money to move. So had
Wait,
no how.
I'm gonna pause you there, and I may pause you in the story because this is really important. This is
Okay.
really important because I want my selfish babes to kind of connect this. What made you know that it was time to go? What made you know, hey, no, I'm not going to pay my rent and stay here. I'm getting the feeling to leave. Take us.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Everything was, I was hitting a ceiling. I was
Yeah.
also a stripper there, a very popular, great stripper there. I made tons of money and I was walking to the club, dolled up, beautiful, and couldn't make a dollar. When I say a
Wow.
dollar, not leaving with a little bit, $1 was leaving with nothing. And I was like, okay, this is happening. I had a great relationship with a great provider man who just at the time was going through his own stuff and couldn't help me. So I'm
Yeah.
losing my house. And he was like, babe, I don't have it. And we
Yeah.
were going through our own things and we were breaking up, and so I had a literal eviction letter on my door. I never had seen that before. I'm like, what is happening? And I kept saying, like, I know they're not about the spirit is whoever. And I wasn't even deeply spiritual at that time. I wasn't even like in the shit that I'm in right now. I said, I know God is not gonna let me fall like this. I know this is not happening. Like, why would they do this with me and my baby? Like, I know this is not happening.
Yeah.
I didn't believe that God at the time. I kept saying God. I wasn't saying spirit or ancestors. I said, I don't believe that God, and I wasn't
Yeah.
even deeply religious. I wasn't raised like that. I
Yeah.
just kept saying, I know God is not gonna let me fall like on my face like this.
Yeah.
And so I took those things around me as a sign to move. I
Hmm.
feel like if I would have took that money and paid my rent, I would have hit something else harder. Something
Hmm.
else, because I'm not listening. You're not being spiritually obedient. You're not
Hmm.
paying attention to the signs. So I took that money and I left. The people didn't fuck with my credit or nothing. They didn't put the eviction on my, I don't know. I would never know to this day what the people did.
Yeah.
But I took that money, did not have a place, packed my car up, and went and got a U-Haul and hooked it to the car. and put New Orleans, Louisiana, and followed the blue line on my phone.
Wow.
And while I was driving those 11 hours, 12 hours with my daughter, a cat, a dog, and a car full of stuff, I looked for Airbnb.
Yeah.
And so I got this Airbnb and I paid it up for the 2 weeks. And by this time, my money was getting low. My money was getting low. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm out here. Nobody driving around with this fucking U-Haul connected to the back of my car looking like a crazy person, you know?
Yeah.
I said, I need a miracle. I need something. And so House of Hoodoo was real popping, and I was a big fan of her online. And so I went to her store and I just grabbed the money hand. I'm like, this is gonna work. It has to. It has to. Why wouldn't it? And I went home and I had no altar because I'm in an Airbnb. I had nothing. I just light that bitch and stare at it and cry. And I'm like, I need you to do something. Like, if this is what y'all say works, this candle, this magic shit, it has to work for me. It has to. So if nothing else is working, I'm staring at it. I mean, I kid you not, within like less than an hour, a customer of mine came through with a shit ton of money and I got a place the next day. And I don't believe that. I'm not saying that it wasn't her candle's power, or her own magic, but I know that my own heart and my own everything and trust in magic. Whether it was her, she's a mambo too. Yeah. You know, trusting in voodoo because that's what it was. Trusting I wasn't a part of these things yet, and just believing that it was gonna be. And they was like, I got you. Now you passed the test, bitch. Here, get your house. And New Orleans wrapped me around so fast. Like I turned up this is where my spirituality and my business went through the roof. Through the roof. I mean, I feel like say overnight success. That's how it felt after that. After I broke those barriers of trust and understanding and just listening to spirit, I still have pictures of like in that Airbnb, I was writing letters to myself and my baby was asleep in the bed and my dog was next to me and I was just crying, writing. I'm like, because I'm a writer. And when I get emotional, I start writing. And I took pictures of that. You know, I took pictures of when I got the place and the cashier's check. I'm like, God damn, like, I don't even know how this money come. Like, you got that candle, And so, I started to dig. Also to backtrack a little bit, when I told my mom I was moving to New Orleans, she was like, well, that's where my dad's family was from. They're all from out there. And I was like, oh shit, I forgot. Like our fucking ancestors are from this land. And so I'm like, this makes sense because the dreams I was having was me sitting down and people around me dressed in white dancing and they were happy. And it was in New Orleans. I'm looking at Bourbon Street and it was like fun. And I was just like, what these fucking crazy ass people dress? They were Black people dressed in white. And it was like, they were dancing around me. And that's how it felt once I overcame those, those trust things that I had with spirituality and trusting myself and belief and all these things. That's how it felt. I felt like New Orleans just wrapped her arms around me. Like, now you're home. And it went up from there. I was able to learn about who my mom's side of the family is. And that's why I learned of my Haitian ancestry through that side, through my Louisiana ancestors. Once I learned of my Haitian ancestry, you couldn't tell me. I was like, this is what? Oh, so now I'm like intrigued because like you said in the beginning, I'm like, so immediately I'm thinking Haiti, voodoo. Okay, what does this mean? Like, what does this mean? And so I started to dig. And that's how it started. That's how it all started. Faith.
As you had said, faith. Like I paused you and I wanted you to go deeper into your action of taking those $4,000 and moving, because that to me that's really important. When it comes to just being on your own path, your own spiritual journey, and as you said, your intuition and listening to yourself, because you were aware to some extent. You noticed, hey, my money is not looking right. Things is falling apart here. My relationship is not working either. And you're also getting these dreams and these messages. And so the fact that you took that money and didn't pay your rent and stayed comfortable where you were, but decided, bitch, I'm about to go move here. Not really knowing too much about the location there.
Knowing
It's
zero. Pulled up
yes,
to the Airbnb with the U-Haul and they like confused, like with my
yes,
baby, you know.
yes,
So and she looking at me, you know, when you're a mother, you have a child, your baby's hoping that you know what the fuck you doing. And
yeah,
you know, and there was a moment driving down that highway where Nala was asleep in the back seat, and I just cried and prayed. I was like, God, if this is where you want me to go, please, y'all gonna make me cry. So it's like I was just like, God, if this is where I'm supposed to go, driving down this dark ass highway at night with a fucking U-Haul connected to this car, and my life in the back of it, and my cat and my dog, not just following a blue line to a city I've never been to. If this is where I'm supposed to go, I need you to show me that this is where I'm supposed to be. I need you to let me know that this is where I'm supposed to be. Like I have my child. You can't like God don't do this to me with my baby. You know, and so it's like, and it was everything it was exactly where I was supposed to be. Exactly where, even to the point when I meant to say when I did find the house, because that money was dwindling a little bit until that guy gave me a bunch of money.
yeah,
But I had the reason that I had got the candle too, I missed the part. I did find the house, but I didn't have enough money for the deposit. And so I got the candle and
yes,
prayed on that aspect of like needing enough money to get this house.
yes,
When I got to the guy, because I had already told him I didn't know if I had enough money for the deposit, but he wrote me back and was like, don't give me what you have. It's okay. And I
wow,
only moved in there and gave him 1 month,
wow,
even though I had the extra money. He still was like, don't worry. He seen I was a mom. He seen me pull up with the U-Haul, like this single mom, it's their fucking baby. Let me help this girl, you know? And he did, you know, and he was great.
yeah.
So, yeah.
My boy. It's like, yeah, girl, I'm just
Hmm.
processing all of that, and it's just so much to say because I'm just like,
It was hard too because not just faith, but Miami was my comfort zone. Stripping was my comfort zone. The relationship with this man, he's still one of my closest friends today. Just talked to him this morning.
yeah,
Me and him, our relationship was ending. And those things right there were my comfort zone. I'm
mm,
like, you know, how am I going to make money if I'm not dancing? I've been dancing since I was 18, 19, you know, and what am I going to also do without this great man that I have? And why is this happening to our relationship? So I left like that. Well, even when I moved, I was on the phone with him driving and I was just like under this impression that he was coming and he was not coming. You know, like I just was like, oh, you're going to move here with me.
did he tell you that?
No, no. But
Okay,
he didn't. And I the Lulu. Like it just was telling myself like this man is coming. I even had conversations with myself, well, if I can't figure it out here, I'll just dance in New Orleans. Like I was playing those games with myself,
mm,
knowing that those were the things that I had to break from. As great as that relationship was, that was not my person to be with. He's one of my best friends today. And I think that he was a man. He is the man that set that standard. When you see me talking on Instagram about what men supposed to do, it's because I've had it. I've
yeah,
had it with a great man. When I tell you providing and just amazing, I'm talking about that. And I believe that his purpose was to set that standard for me, not to be my husband or anything like that. So yeah.
okay, I got a lot to say because even that may be another thing, but just you talking about your journey, getting the money, moving to New Orleans, baby in the back,
Yes.
trying to figure out the house, praying, honestly, sitting and praying for
Just
what?
looked at it. Dropped a tear in that bitch. I don't know if y'all heard me in class. I talked about that when we were
What?
doing the candle.
What?
When Mama Lanice was doing the I think she was doing the oil lamp and I taught the candle next.
Yeah.
And I said, whatever you gotta do, if you gotta drop a tear in that motherfucking candle and say, make it happen.
To let him
I'm
know.
speaking from
To let
experience.
him
I done
know.
sat over a candle like,
Yes.
you
I
know.
share like I feel like what Miela has just shared has brought up for me that sometimes on I mean, of course, life in general, but I'm just gonna say on your spiritual journey, shit is not easy all the time.
Mm-hmm.
What you just shared is like going from one whole new place to another place, baby in back, driving alone, figuring it out on your own, letting go of what you once knew for something new, but not really fucking knowing what the new thing is yet.
Not at
It's so
all, y'all.
hard, y'all. Like it would have been just so easy for you to just pay your rent and stay there. Like
Yeah.
literally. And so for my selfish babes that are listening, I just want you to just understand how easy it could have been for her to just stay and how
Mm-hmm.
much strength it took for her to leave. and to go
I
some.
knew that it was time to go, money or not. If they gave me 20,000, I knew it wasn't to go there. They already put the letter on my door. That means, bitch, you're out. Get the fuck out. And I had never seen that. You know, what's crazy is me and my homegirl, because she was staying with me at the time, and she was just trying to help me. She was emotionally, like, you know, there. She didn't have no money either. We both stripping, broke as fuck, you know, and she was just like, oh my God, like, what are we gonna do? Like, and I was like, I don't know. We leave out the house to take Nala to school, and the fucking letter's on the door. And I'm like, bitch, this is it. Like, you know, and so it wasn't making that money, wasn't like, oh my God, I got my rent money. It was like, oh my God, it's time to go. Thank you, Spirit, for giving me. And 4,000 wasn't a lot, because by the time I had paid for the U-Haul, they took like 1,000 because of the distant miles I was about to put on it, all these different things. The food, the Airbnb. By the time I was trying to get a place, that's why I didn't have a deposit for that man. And I just was like, I need money to come out of nowhere. You know what I mean? And it literally did. An old customer. I hadn't talked to him in years. Was like, how are you? I'm like, nigga, I'm in New Orleans. I need to like, and he asked no questions. He cash out me, y'all.
Yes. And that is a miracle. But that's what I'm telling y'all. And I think this is kind of what drew me to ancestor veneration, because even though I know it was a candle, it was money candle, and you was praying, and I know you was praying to God, spirits, or whatever.
My ancestors is on that land.
Ancestors came through for you. For me, like, this is why I love it, and why I just that rest of is so important for me, is because life can be fucking hard. Period. And so for me, when I found out that I have the support of my ancestors of great character to fucking help me, and I just need to call on them, invite them in, give them some food, candle, whatever I need to do to strengthen that connection so they can help me in this life, and I'm not alone, especially spiritually, opening up doors. Who was Miala's old customer? Let's have him call her up.
I will call him if y'all need something. Okay, I will call him. Listen, but on another thing too, I'm gonna send you this picture. I have it on my Instagram page. It's like the second picture on my page, and I talk about humble beginnings, because once I moved into that house, I still was not like knowing spirituality and voodoo yet. I still didn't have that concept of these altars and things. I started putting things together, and I didn't have tables. And I set up a space in the corner of my floor with like a bowl with a piece of bread, some wine, and a bunch of little trinkets that I had that I just believed were magic. And nobody taught me. It was just strictly just me thinking that this is what this is, and feeling it from here. And feeling fear. So my baby would go to sleep at night, and I would sit in my living room with just these candles and just thinking and praying. And I started digging with myself, and then I started digging with my ancestry. And when I don't know anybody who's from or been to New Orleans, that shit is loud. The energy there is loud. You know what I mean? And so that's what I mean by New Orleans just grabbed me. Like, my ancestors was like, finally, bitch, you goddamn made it here. Get your ass over here. We got a lot to tell you, like, we've been waiting for someone in the blood and the family to get back to New Orleans, you know, that has the eyes to see. Okay. Because again, I have family there, but that doesn't mean they have eyes to see. My family, I got a lot of families that still confused.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And don't understand.
You're the one that's actually doing the work.
Yes. While they're on the land amongst our ancestors, I wasn't there. They had to pull me from Florida, from that relationship, from my comfort zone, from my little house that I thought was the shit, wasn't shit, and pulled me to this whole town, down that fucking dark. I drove to New Orleans, y'all, in the pitch black, with my baby, and they brought me there, and I was just praying, and so they pulled me there, and they like, finally, we got somebody. And once I started sitting in with those little altars on my floor, I'm gonna send you a picture. Oh my gosh, these little tiny little setups in the corner. I thought they was so cute, and I was like, yes, I'm doing it. I'm witching. I'm big witching. Like, yeah. You know, and so, but they were, and you know, I talk about this in my hoodoo class. That is when my magic was the most powerful. Right now, I'm kind of just like floating, and the ancestors just got me, and the spirit's like, yeah, bitch, you figured it out. But then is when my shit was like smacking, like, because I was from here, because it was from the heart. You know, it was like, and I had less tools. And this is why moving here where I am now, I got rid of a lot of tools. I don't have these lavish altars that I had, because I want to go back to those small, humble, where it was here.
Yes.
You know,
what you're saying is true. When she's talking about from the heart, Spirit sees your heart, feels your heart.
Mm-hmm.
Heart is very powerful. So when she's saying she's putting her heart into the work, and what may look like a humble altar is actually extremely powerful. Like you said, it's
The
very,
mighty. And you
yes,
know this now with you have been coming to Haiti. And I
yes,
talked about this too. Like them mambos out there don't look, they ain't wearing head wraps and waist beads and locks, and they're not walking around the street looking like a priestess. You wouldn't know.
exactly,
There, you know, you
exactly.
would not know because you're truly not supposed to know. And
Mhm,
I'm learning this on my journey as well. This is something that I learned. This is not something I always knew.
mhm.
You're not supposed to know that I'm a priestess.
Yes,
To the public eye. You're not
yes,
supposed to know that I just got out of initiation less than a month ago. You're not
yes,
supposed to know that I went to Africa and did X, Y, and Z. You're not supposed to know that about a woman, a goddess, a priestess. You know, our magic, part of the magic is the trick. You get
yes,
what I'm saying? I'm supposed to disguise you. I'm supposed to have the wig on and then maybe got some locks underneath. You know what I
yes,
mean? You don't know,
yes. And
that's
I was
part of the magic.
going to get into that because I want to talk about that. But I just want to share. I just taking it back again to my selfish babes. Like Miala talked about being in corners of her house with the
Mm-hmm.
candle, with a bowl of water from her
And a
heart.
plate of bread.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I just want to highlight that for my babes
Mm.
who are really just like, I want to start and I don't know. Bitch, she just gave you the
You
baby
got it. You just got to start.
powerful. And it's like, and can remember when I was in an apartment and I shared it with, I think, three other girls. And I had my little altars, and I remember my little altar for Ogun. I had a green cloth, and I'm just learning as well. So when you're talking about
And it was
bringing it
working.
back to what we used to do, I'm thinking about what I used to do. Okay.
Yes.
So it's just like, you guys don't need a lot. You know, it's just,
And this is what I teach in hoodoo. This is why hoodoo is so dope in reference to what our ancestors did, because they didn't have a lot. They didn't even have the, I won't say the knowledge, but as I will say, maybe as time went down, they didn't have the knowledge of the spirits. They didn't
yeah,
have those names that we have now, those Dantors, those Fredas, those Ogus, those Legbas, those Dambalas. They didn't have those names,
yeah,
but they had this. You
yes.
understand what I'm saying? And so
She's
this
pointing
is
to her
where,
heart. She's pointing to her heart if you're listening.
yes, that's all they had. Oh, sorry, I know y'all can't see me. Yeah. They had their heart. They had belief. Um, they had just inner wisdom. You know, my best friend is an astrologer, and she just be coming off the top with this astrology. And I'm just like, how do you know? She was like, in the 12th house. I was like, how the fuck do you know this stuff? You know, that's not my strong point for anyone listening. And so what I realized with her, talking to her one time, I said, you know what you remind me of? You're like those ancestors who were on the way to freedom, those runaway slaves who knew to look at the stars and like this way.
Yeah,
You know, we gonna follow the drinking gourd, we gonna follow the North Star. Like, who taught them that? Who taught our ancestors who could not read and write to follow the goddamn stars and
yeah.
to trust that this shit in the sky is going to free you. You
So that's
understand what I'm saying?
that spiritual knowledge that's just given to you, whether it's through
Yes.
a dream, through a feeling, through a knowing, that connection, you know?
Yes. And I feel like as Black people, that is in our it's in our spirit, you know, like, and especially when you're in a time of breaking free or trying to get freedom, you got your baby on your back, a baby in the back seat, you
Yeah,
looking at them stars like I know you got some answers for me. You have to. You
yes,
know, because if, again, put into context, our ancestors could not read or write,
yes,
have no, nothing but just this faith-based and subconscious memory of where they may have come from. The same
yes,
way we do it in America as Black people. We have a definite subconscious memory of where we come from ancestrally, especially women, because everything is womb, from womb to womb to womb to womb to womb to womb to womb. So we could trace that womb all the way back to Africa, you know? And so the subconscious forgets nothing, whether it was something that happened this morning or happened 25,000 years ago that you forgot about this morning, your subconscious doesn't. And so I feel like our ancestors who knew to follow them stars, to run away to freedom,
yeah.
it's the same thing. It's that faith, it's that understanding. And I told her, I said, that's who you is. I told my sister, I said, my best friend, I said, you the ancestor who was leading us in the front, like we're going left, north, right, follow the wrinkle. And I'm the one in the back with the gun, like, y'all gonna be free or else.
Yeah.
Like,
I just want to bring up a point because you mentioned just our subconscious memory and remembrance, and there was a
Yes.
um, I was talking to this lady, and she does like a lot of womb and yoni work, and I was just
Mm-hmm.
like, hey, I've noticed that sometimes when I'm around men, I just feel there's a sense of unsafety, and I don't know why. It's just been that way. I don't know why. And she was just saying, like, in a past life, I had a lot of power, and men would always try to take advantage of that power and violate, and which is why I could be a little guarded around men in particular. And so
Mm-hmm.
you're saying, past life stuff. And so when you're just talking about like our subconscious memory, whether it be in this day and age or whether it be 100 years ago, 200 years ago, 300
Yep.
years ago, whatever,
It's
I'm like,
there.
very, very true. Now I want to switch gears a little bit because I want to read something that you wrote on Instagram. There's two posts that I have, but this one isn't about hoodoo. And this is what
Mm-hmm.
you, okay?
Oh
All
my
right.
gosh, I'm nervous. Okay, go. Okay, go ahead. Go
This
ahead.
is what Miala said. Okay, this is about hoodoo. So just because we're going to talk about that for a little bit. Hoodoo, also known as conjure root work, is a system of African American folk magic that has been practiced in the United States for centuries. Not a religion, but a cultural and spiritual practice that combines elements of African religion, plant root work, and indigenous practices. Hoodoo has been an important part of the African American community for generations, even if they don't recognize it as such. It's embedded in our culture, food, and heritage. Often used for healing, protection, love, financial prosperity, medicine magic with heavy ancestral reverence that is passed down from one generation to the next by way of just our lifestyle alone. One of the reasons for the enduring power of hoodoo in Black communities is its ability to provide a sense of empowerment. This was our freedom and resistance during slavery as we faced discrimination and oppression throughout our history in America. Hoodoo provided a way to reclaim power and agency in our lives through magic when our physical reality in America seemed helpless. Most of all, it provided a cultural identity that kept us intact with our African ancestors, which made it a beacon reminder, relief, and comfort of where we come from. And you just talked about your candle, right? And your prayer and your heart. Hoodoo.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about a little bit about your journey with hoodoo. I mean, that was the beginning of it, but like
Mm-hmm.
just what you said, like life can, and that's what I meant to when I told you. I said sometimes life is fucking hard, and it's just
Yes.
like when you're able to use the plants, your heart, your words, and mix all that together to create a shift and a change, right? And I want to mention this because I want to say this. You guys know people always talk about manifest your life, and all this stuff, and I've seen that. I've been in different communities. I've been in white communities. I've been in Black communities, whatever. But I've realized that one of the things that are not talked about when it comes to manifestation is hoodoo, is ancestor veneration. That is
Mm-hmm.
manifestation. You are shifting something, you are changing something, you are creating a new reality when you're using these things together. So let's talk about that a little bit.
Yes. So like I said before, I wasn't raised religious, but I do come from a Baptist background. And I did go to church with my great grandfather, and he was probably not probably, he was the first person who introduced me to spirituality. Um, I remember going to church with him, and my grandfather was deacon, like very well respected Baptist man. And when we would come home, he was a chef as well. He would all have this food cooking and this beautiful ass soul food that he had in the oven waiting for us to get out of church. And that's why I was going to church. I'm like, I can't wait to go eat after church. Right. And so listen, so after church, it would just be me and him. I was the only grandchild that would come to church with him. You know, none of the other kids want to go to church. And so after church, he would tell me these stories of the spirits that he sees in his house.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them particularly was his ex-wife. And he would say, I see her all the time. And it's because he had two daughters with her, my two aunts. And when she was on her deathbed, she told him, if anything ever happens to my daughters, I'm coming back. I'm coming back for you. I'm coming back for all of y'all. And he ended up remarrying my great grandmother because he had two wives. He ended up remarrying my great grandmother, and she was very abusive to the stepchildren. And she came back, and he was like, I don't stop seeing her. And I was a little girl at the time. I'm thinking I had to be like 9, 10. I was like, well, Grandpa, what did she say? What did she do? He would describe it to me. And he was like, she wears a blue dress and she looks like this. And she's angry with me, baby. She's so mad that I didn't protect her. I didn't protect my daughters. I didn't do that. And he was venting to me as a child. You know what I mean? And nobody else, no grown other people. It was me and my grandpa. He's telling me these stories and, you know, where she lives in the house and what she does. And so that was an eye opener to me to hear my grandfather talk about something other than Jesus.
Yeah.
And, you know, and he was talking, and I'll never forget those memories as a 9-year-old little girl. And growing up and now as a grown woman, looking back on my childhood, there were aspects of hoodoo everywhere. Like to this day, my mom has these damn bones across her front door. And I was like, Mom, who told you to put them bones there? She was like, I don't know. It's for protection, ain't it? Who told you that? You know,
Yeah.
like they're like, it's like the bones. And I'm just like, where did you get? She's like, I took him out to Turkey on Thanksgiving and I put him up there. Who
Wow.
told you to do that? You know,
Yeah.
and then I have another cousin, her mother passed, and we were at my mom's house, and her grandmother passed, and she got the grandmother cremated. And she was like, yeah, sometimes when I'm feeling sad or something, I just take some of her ashes and sprinkle around the house. I said, oh, okay, y'all be talking about me. They be talking about me like I'm big voodoo witch, and y'all be doing what?
Okay.
I said, I'm not touching nobody's ashes. You know, you know, and so I'm like, they got all this idea of me. They think I'm big voodoo in the family. I'm like, I'm not, y'all don't want playing with the dead. I don't do that shit. You know what I mean? I'm like, who told you to think? She's like, I just like to feel her near me. That has been around me all the time. My grandmother, the abusive great grandmother, she wasn't abusive to me, but she was to her other stepchildren. Um, my grandmother talks about her like, oh, I could smell her perfume, things like that, coming down the stairs on her birthday. You know, and
Yeah.
I had a similar experience with her a couple years ago with some things that she wanted me to do around her birthday, and I didn't even correlate that it was her birthday. Like, this is a grandmother that has died when I was like 10 years old. You know what I mean? And so, but that's how she was. She was very, very pushy, and she makes her presence known. But all that to say, those types of things have been in my family. So whether that's why I said in the caption, whether we call it that, that's
Yeah.
what it is. We
Yeah.
are very spiritual based people. We can see, we can feel, we can hear. So whether we call it hoodoo or not, that's exactly what it is.
Sure. And don't you
Mm-hmm.
teach hoodoo course?
Now, teach a hoodoo course is a class. We got an active class right now. The next one will be October.
Okay. And what's the call?
The Two Black Protege Hoodoo Ritual course.
Okay.
Yes.
I wanted to make sure she said that because I know there's
Mm-hmm.
going to be selfish babes that want to get in. And what are the
Yeah.
requirements again, Mia?
Okay, so this class is for Black women only. And you know what? I have a lot of people asking me about why, what, because I know that there is this fine line between Afro-Cuban or Afro-Hispanic and Afro-Latina that feel that they want to be a part of this. And with that, I'm just like really case by case, depending on who it is. Um, for so many reasons that number one, Black women just need this space.
Yes.
We need this space. The space is not just about hoodoo. I have real live Black women in my course crying and talking and connecting and telling sacred and secrets that they don't talk. And you know, when Black women we get together, we like sisters. You know,
Yes.
and so we don't even be talking about the voodoo no more. I mean, I got girls dumping about so many different things that are wound related, trauma related, and I know that Black women sometimes we just need other Black women.
Yes.
And most times, all the time, we need other Black sisters.
Yes.
There are spaces that are all inclusive for certain things, but this is not. Because no matter what they're talking about or venting about or crying about, it's always going to go back to something ancestral for us. And we get there and we heal there and we talk there. And I mean, I'm in the 5th class right now. I've done this 5 times with this particular class, and it always is like that. And so my goal has always to create safe spaces for Black women, the same with the Where the Waters Meet.
Yes.
It will always be only for Black women, you
Yes.
know.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
that's your, that's part of your life work. Okay, I know that, and
it
I know
is.
that you said
I know that that's part of my purpose.
yes, yes. And I
I
remember
do.
saying that when we were on a Zoom call or something for Wet Waters Meet, and it was just like that passion in your voice. I'm like, you love this. You love bringing Black women together. That's what.
Yes.
And so I'm
Lose
like,
sleep over it.
oh,
Yes.
yeah. So that's all. I'm like,
Mhm.
you said it because for my selfish babes to know who can go and who cannot go and what you are about, and that's okay. Um,
Yes.
Now I do want to backpedal a little bit because even for me, I was like, oh, okay, man, I didn't know you was a stripper. Can you take us through what you
Not because you speed. You're not gonna speed fast.
let
Yes.
us know
Yes.
when you started, what made you start.
Mm.
I don't know if you're still doing it or not, but like just a little bit about that journey because I have another part of something that you shared that I think is very pivotal when it comes to the spiritual community. So just tell us a little
Okay.
bit.
Um. Again, I don't know if it's just maybe that faith thing just is kind of like one of the things, either it in you or it ain't. Because I was very young when I started stripping. I was actually in hair school. I went to Paul Mitchell, went to hair school when I first had my baby, and I entered this hair show competition. And my model that I was doing her hair, she was a stripper. She was telling me, I was just like, oh my God, like, what is it? I'm 19 listening to her. I'm like, so what do you do? You have like sex for money? I'm trying to learn all these different things. She was like, no, girl, you ain't got to do none of that. You know, she's teaching me, and I'm this young girl, impressionable. You know, she didn't coerce me or anything, but she did give me this spark. And I was just like, oh, so I went. I didn't have a car. I rode the city bus. I went into that club. I didn't even have an ID. I think I still had like my school ID. All them fucking people didn't give a damn. And they let me in their club. They let me in their club with my little, I had went to Target and got a bra and panties, some little raggedy shit. I had my prom shoes
Oh,
still. And I went in this club, y'all, and they let me work. And it
yeah.
was, and I'll never forget it. And I ended up dancing from the age of 19, I'm 30 now, to 27. 19 to 27. And at the time when I started, I was living in Charlotte, North Carolina. That's where my mom and her husband are. That's where I had my first baby. And I met this guy and I moved to Miami.
Yeah.
Literally left everything and took my baby and left. One of those faith things. And was like, I'm going. But, you know, a lot of it had, outside of faith, I was very young. So I'm not recommending this part.
Yes.
I'm not recommending.
We just want to know the journey. We know it's not
Yes.
recommendation. It was
But
just
I
like,
was all, yeah.
it's just like, and then we're gonna get into this too, but it's just like, it's a part of your journey, and I feel like
Mm-hmm.
people want to know more about Miala. They want to know more
Mm-hmm.
story, and it's just like, okay, like how
I'm
was it?
sharing a lot right now. And it's like when I'm thinking about this Miami story, like my eyes is going like vision, and I'm like, I'm about to tell them so much. Oh my gosh, like my eyes just like took off. You know, like Raven and That's So Raven. My eyes was like, hold on, you about to tell them everything. But I ended up going that guy again, still one of my greatest friends to this day. You know, I was very protected in those ways, in the moves that I would making, even as a 19-year-old girl with a baby, going to strip somewhere. And so I went to Miami, and when I first started stripping, I wasn't making a lot of money. I was just happy to be making like $300. I'm 19, like damn, I make $300. Like this is a lot, and it wasn't a lot, you know. And so when I moved to Miami, that's what I had. I had like $300. I want to say like 350. I'll never forget it. And the guy helped me get a hotel, and he was out there doing his own thing, and I was out there dancing. I went to the world famous King of Diamonds.
Yes.
And that's where I danced for the remainder of the time I was dancing after I left North Carolina. And I remember at the end of the week, he was like, look, I'm going back to New York. If you want to stay here, you got to pay for this room on your own, you know, type situation. And I was just like, okay, you know, so I'm going to figure this out. And I'm out there, and I had my suitcase, and that was it. And I was going back and forth to the club. My whole life was in this one suitcase. At the time, I didn't have my baby too. I was going back and forth. I left her with her dad's mom, her dad's grandmother, and so she was there for like a month without me. And I went to King of Diamonds, and I started working there, and the owner there took care of me. And again, like when I talk about those types of men on my story, I know these types of men. I know those types of men who have literally given women the world with nothing in return, or asked for nothing in return. I've been introduced to those men. I've had experiences with those men. And those men are still in my life as friends today. I know these people hold near and dear to my heart. And so, yeah, where am I at now? Yeah, that's where I'm at. I'm in Miami and working at world famous King of Diamonds, and that was a life-changing, pivotal point for me. I feel like a lot of my experiences, not just as a stripper, but in that particular club, shaped the witch I am today. The mentality that I have today, my fucking, like everything that I know about how to manifest comes from that place.
Why?
What do you mean? Why? We say why?
Why? Yeah, because you said what you learned there is kind of helped you be the witch you are today. Why? Why and what?
That being able to be in disguise, that witch in disguise, that woman in disguise, that money magic that I do still to this day, that being able to speak that I say over myself, glamour magic, being able as a woman, you know what I
Yeah.
mean, being able to put it on
Yeah.
and put it out into the world, like give I deserve, come to me, I this is wealth is mine, all these different things that I learned, not just in the club, but I danced around some world famous strippers that y'all would know, and I learned a lot from them,
Yeah.
and so that's why a lot of people always ask me about my stripping. Are you know, I'm like, girl, that was the best time of my life. I learned so much. I was in a great city, I was well taken care of, and I made tons of money. The guy that I talked about, I met him there. The one that I was in that relationship with before I moved to New Orleans, like that was the relationship I was in the whole time I was in Miami, you know. So I have great experiences around that life,
Yeah.
great memories.
And what made you stop?
Um, I remember when I was preparing to move to New Orleans, like that was one of the things that I wanted to stop. My daughter was getting older.
Yeah.
Nala was getting older, and I was like, you know, I don't like being gone at night. I don't like being gone at night. My baby's getting older. I kept saying that my baby's getting older. Like I remember using that as throwing that out there all the time. And I said, if I don't, one of the conversations I had around moving to New Orleans, if I don't leave Miami, I will always be a stripper because it's so easy to do it there. I will never. That's like I said, one of my comfort. It was one of my comfort zones. Like I will just always go back to the club when I need some money. I
Yeah.
want to leave this. I have to do something else. Like this can't be it. And so that was one of my motives to just leave.
When you say that, fuck, I can't think of her name right now. But she used to be on Love and Hip Hop Miami. She was a famous stripper, and I think she was a King of Diamonds. She's short, she's blonde. I don't know if her name was Tip or something, but she just talks
Tip
about how.
drill.
Yes, she has a book.
Yes.
Called
I
The
know
Strip
Tip drill very well. I'm in a lot of her music videos. I know Tip drill very well.
Guys, and
Yes.
she talks just about her life as a stripper, what she's experienced.
Mm-hmm.
Just talk about how sometimes it can be easy just to stay there. And so when you say,
Yes.
"Oh, I was in Miami," I mean it's easy. Like it's I can.
Yes. I mean, and I would spend money like a freaking drug dealer. And my mindset was like, I'll just make it at work again. I'll
Yeah,
just make it back. And you know, yes, that's a beautiful, abundant mindset to be in, but so
we gotta make investments. We gotta have more stability. No, I get it.
yes.
Now, I wanted to mention that I'm glad that you were able to speak about that. So I just want to say again, thank you, Mayla, for just sharing
Mm-hmm.
us. Really appreciate it. You had said this post, and I screenshot it because, again, we have said that Mayla is a writer. And I want
Mm-hmm.
to kind of reference some of her posts that she has said because they're deep, period.
Okay.
So this is what you said.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
You said, not now, now which in the world, but
Oh.
I'm a
Mm-hmm.
practical priestess living in reality with keys to the spiritual realm, blending duality and balancing polarities. I can cure a cold from a chicken in real life, bless your head, put money in your pocket. I'll wear this 40-inch lace wig to ceremony while chasing my roosters at the same time. I'll come to the underworld to have a drink with you at night and hold your hand and commune with you in the morning over coffee and tea. When you're tapped into your birthright, you get to be free in every way, to the point where you will inherit and have access to different levels of freedom. Even abundance manifests itself in a way where it feels like you live for free. Over the years, I've seen some spiritual, that's in quotations, folks uphold religious ideology around women and wonder why the magic ain't hitting. I've seen patriarchy and misogyny, as well as other male identified, male pleasing women who condemn other women, find its way into spirituality and try to control the image on what a spiritual woman, in quotations, should look like. And it's
Mm-hmm.
always made me cringe. How are you going to tell God what to wear and what to do? The divine feminine has no look and can never be controlled, especially not by the masculine, which is her creation. Especially not by the masculine, which is her creation. Let's keep that in mind.
Mm-hmm.
Free and unrestricted, she's raging, chaotic, dangerous, and will swallow you alive like an ocean. Have you ever tried to hold water? It's impossible. The divine feminine is not submissive. Let's highlight that again. The divine feminine is not submissive. She's threatening and deadly like a hurricane. rebellious and unpredictable, but always in alignment like the weather. You will miss out
Mm-hmm.
so much until you learn to discern your perspective from what spirituality looks like. Most of
Mm-hmm.
the time, the look is overcompensating for the lack of actual spirit, alignment, and awareness. While you're thinking you're going to get help from someone who looks spiritual and has a new age or traditionally aesthetically pleasing image, 90% of the time it's the naked woman on the dance floor with a weave and a drink in her hand that will change your life because she naturally does this work without all the extra and she's tapped into her birthrights. You're not supposed to be able to tell a witch is a witch. The best part of the magic is the trick.
Oh my
Now,
gosh.
this smells so beautiful. I wanted to read
I
this.
wrote so much.
Yeah, and it's beautiful. Like you write beautifully.
Thank you. Thank
And
you.
I was just so happy to just hear a little bit more about your story and
Mm-hmm.
where you've been and where you are. And I really loved reading that because I feel like even me, I've learned that like you said, a witches can be anyone, any woman, look any way. There is no specific type. And I think sometimes with social media, we can just see what it looks like aesthetically,
Mm-hmm.
and we can judge and we can keep out because I know that there was
Mm-hmm.
I had this conversation with a friend at the time, and she was telling me that she felt closed off to the natural girls. She was the one wearing the weaves. She was the ones that
Mm.
got the weave, love her bougie perfume and all the things. But for the natural girls that got the locks like me, maybe, and that are on the incense, she would feel disconnected from them and feel like they were judging her, even though she wanted to be embraced and also learn about spirituality. And so
Yes.
the reason I wanted to mention the what you wrote is because we can do that and there's no need for that, and it's just
Mm-hmm.
you don't have to judge, it can look any way. And this is the part about duality. You do not have to fit in a box. And so
Yes.
the ladies that are listening right now, you don't have to fit in a box. It doesn't have to look one way. It can
It
look like a
shouldn't.
multitude of different ways. There's so many goddesses in the world, they don't look all the same
It
for
should
a reason.
absolutely be trickery. Like you should be confused. Like, damn, is she a witch or not? I don't know because she got this and that. That's how it's supposed to be. You should not be able to know my magic. You should
Yeah.
not be able to know who my Ori is,
Mhm.
who what low I sit on my head. You shouldn't be able to know that.
Yeah.
And so I guess that could be one of the cons with the technology today.
Yeah.
Because once a lot of us get this information, like a lot of people that are new to spirituality and African ancestral traditions, once we get a little information, we go full throttle. Like, well, I'm about to get locked. We get my waist beat, and we start putting it on.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so that could be a detriment to us. Um, and I played in that game for a little bit. You know what I mean? I played in that game too. And then I learned that was blocking me. That's why I say the times when I had the least
Yeah.
knowledge was when I was the most powerful. The time when I was stripping was when I was the most powerful.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Right now, I'm just, I want to say, like the fruits of my labor
Yeah.
right now. Maybe that's what it is. And I just have this. Maybe it's just with time I've been able to just grab things out of the fucking ether easier.
Yeah.
But I know that the times when I didn't know is when I was the most powerful. When I had my weave, when I did these things, you know what I'm saying? And so when I felt myself becoming like, oh, I gotta keep my locks. That's one of the reasons I held on to my locks for so long,
Mm.
because I felt like I wouldn't look this part.
Mm.
And that was hurting me. That
Yeah.
was hurting me. And so when I cut my locks, and there was a lot of other things, personal things too in my life that, I needed to let go of the locks.
Yeah.
But on a spiritual level, on an image level that we're talking, when I cut my locks, I held them. I was just like, thank you. Thank you
Yeah.
for holding my insecurities. Thank you for being this for me. You know what I mean? Thank you for doing all of those things for me. I got it from here. I got
Yeah.
it from here. Thank you for teaching me. I got it. Thank you for hiding under them wigs. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like,
I don't
shit.
know how you hid them under a wig because I
I
tried
used to
that
keep them
a long
cut.
time ago. No, don't work for me.
I used to keep them cut, and
Okay.
I would keep them cut, and then she would braid them and then put the wigs over, but so many different things. And I buried them. I thanked them. I held them. I hugged them tight because they were my safety net for so long. but not just on a spiritual level, but on that aesthetic level, trying to look spiritual. Like, fuck that. You know what I mean? And that it was very, as the feminine, we are very free flowing and creative. And it did it for me. And I'm not speaking for everyone with locks. I know that everyone with locks does not feel this way. For me, it was very restricting. It got restricting as I wanted to be more creative in my creativity, in my expression as a woman, in my womanhood, in my femininity. I wanted to see myself differently. I wanted to play. I wanted to play with colors. I wanted to play with wigs. I want braids. I'm getting braids for Beyonce, y'all, on September 3rd. I can't wait to get some fucking braids. Like, I'm so excited for these fucking braids, y'all, and I'm gonna get them dragging on the floor blonde, okay? Listen, and I can't wait to get these fucking braids, and so I wanted to do that. I wanted to play. I wanted to be a woman. I wanted to be free. I didn't want to be in this spiritual box that was not, for me, that image was not me. I grew out of it.
Yeah.
To the point where my locks were thinning, they were falling off. And once I would see them in my hand, I was like, this is not something that wants to be kept. She's like, bitch, let me go. I'm dying, holding on to it. Be like, let me go. And to the point where I would walk past the mirror and I didn't recognize it. So I didn't want to look. I remember moments like that was like, I don't even want to look because this looks ugly. I don't like how I look. I don't recognize myself this way. My locks are telling me to release her. Release me, baby. It's time to let me go. You're free now. You don't have to, you can go do whatever you think. I've done, you're good, go. And so I had to let them go and I cut them. And even that was like before the wigs, I was just wearing my hair cut. I had my hair, like I wear my hair out all the time. And I remember seeing myself and I was like, oh, I didn't even know I looked like this. Yeah. Oh my God, my face. I didn't know I had these fucking freckles over here. Like I started doing that in the mirror, in these moles and this, like, oh, I do like this. Now I'm looking at myself. That's feminine. And that was very feminine for me.
Yes. I said you're really seeing yourself.
You really see yourself. And so now that I see myself, I have to deal with myself. Yeah. And so, with whatever the insecurity, whatever I thought I was hiding behind some locks, whatever I thought I was pretending to be, I didn't have it no more. And so I had to really look at myself and deal with it. I also cut my locks because I knew I was going to go through an initiation in Africa where my hair was going to be cut. And I was prepping myself for that too. I was like, let me just cut the locks and then they could do the rest. Like, that type of thing. So I prepped for that. And then it was cut again. Like when I cut it, I still had a little fro. But when they cut it in Africa, it was skin bald. Like,
wow.
Yes. And so that, it was like, a big deal. But all that to say, to go back to, I feel the most connected to myself when I'm able now, not when I have my locks. I felt like when I wrote another caption about a lot of times we're overcompensating for things, not that I wasn't spiritual, but I was able to stack it on more. Yeah. And I don't want to stack it on more. I don't want to stack it on more. You know what I mean? Like I want to be just simplified. The way that I'm living now with my house and like even in my house in the farm, I had these lavish altars. I had an altar room. It was huge. I don't have that here. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because now I'm having to work from a real place, a deeper place. Won't say real, I'll say deeper. I was able to kind of surface level with it. Like, yeah, it works. Yeah, this looks nice. But now spirit is like, but you gotta dig deeper. Yeah. You don't have those locks no more. You don't have just time to show people, does that magic work or not? Yeah. Does that magic work or not? Do you hear us? Or are you know what I mean? Are you really divine or not? And so that's what I'm working with in my life now. And it's beautiful. Yeah. It's beautiful.
I really I love that you talk to your locks when you let them go.
I did.
In general, just to let them know what was happening and why. And for me, I think as you get deeper into your spiritual journey, authenticity matters a lot. And so when you're mentioning like how you need to be to feel free and what you need in your life to feel free, I think that's when people start listening a lot more to themselves and their intuition and what they need. And for me, that is a part of going deeper into your spirituality. Talk about having the look all day, and that can be a thing, right? And it is a thing for some people. And I just want my selfish babes that are listening to know, I feel like that's why for me being a selfish babe is really important, is showing up as your authentic self. And so part of your spiritual journey is showing up as your authentic self in your different phases of life. Because for me, one day you may like this and the next day you may not.
That's that Aquarius shit too, girl.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
okay. And
Yeah,
it's
it
okay. I
is.
feel like
You're
sometimes
allowed to change your
people,
mind.
yes, yes, that part. Sometimes I feel like people are just like, oh, but I like this, and they have to always be this person or always hold on to this thing. And it's like, no, you can change your.
Mm-hmm.
They have really hated that shit 2 years ago, but right now you
Yes.
love this shit.
You're
And
allowed to do that. And you should be deeply and self-aware where you even have the courage to admit that I was wrong yesterday. I was wrong yesterday. You know that, but today I know this. You know, like that's self-awareness.
yeah,
And I think that when, like going back to image, there's a lot of people. When I cut my locks, there was a lot of women. I'm always speaking only to women too. There's a lot of women who wrote me like, I want to cut mine and thank you. And they sending me pictures of theirs and how they cut theirs off. And I've been feeling like this, but wanting to hold on to this image. You know what I mean? And that is restricting on your femininity. That is restricting on your magic, on how your magic is flowing or how it's not flowing. If you're feeling disconnected from how you look, your hair, that is going to be restrictive. And so many women were writing me that. Like I think I posted some of them. I didn't want to expose like so many and like post so many, but a lot of women were writing me like, oh my God, like I've been wanting to cut mine. I've been thinking about it, and but I don't know how. I think that as Black women in this new age coming into spirituality and we get our locks, we're shunned for not having them. Once you put out that you're spiritual, like I even know that what people will do, they will judge the weave wearer, spiritual woman, like you said with your friend who felt like disconnected from the lock girls. You judge them. You're like, well, she can't be that spiritual. She wear weave, and this was like, I know some top notch tip drills, okay, that is tuned in to this magic that is spiritual. Like I have a very close friend now that is super spiritual, top dollar stripper that has no desire to be in the spiritual shit, but be calling me and telling me the deepest shit. I'm like, bitch, how do you know this? And how did you?
yeah,
Because spirit divine on who the fuck is listening, who they want to divine on.
yeah,
It don't matter, and like I said, you're not supposed to know that someone is a witch. You're not supposed to know that. Why would what would make it special or sacred if you knew? Like, how would I be able to do my tricks if you knew who my Ori is? Like,
wait, I think, and I know this was part of my journey, so I want to share it. Like when I went to FAMU and I was just learning about Black shit, and it was Black psychology. It was like everything Black, like learning, going through my Blackness. There was a thing, I forgot who the professor was, but it was like these phases of Blackness. And so when you first learn about like slavery and enslavement, all the things, you're a certain way. Like even when I started, quote unquote, becoming natural, let's just say that, how it started my natural
we going natural. Remember that whole movement?
yeah, I mean, girl, I was the one telling people, you're not using this Black soap. You know how much chemicals is in this.
Yep.
It was a whole tip ass phase. Okay, it was a whole And so I would be like that. And then eventually, when I just let that go and I'm just like, well, I'm just going to focus on me and do my own thing. I don't got to tell people what to do or what they're not going to do. And I accepted everybody as they were. That's another phase. And so I feel like for some of the women that have the locks that are judgmental, they may still be in that phase. I feel like for me, I'm in my I do what I want to do phase. And I focus on me, love myself, focus on my own self love and my own growth. And then my own personal authenticity, that's really important for me. Like being authentically me is really important for me. And as you said, for me, when you talked about your creativity and like even you needing to do different things with your hair and play, that is how you need to authentically express yourself for your magic to work. Because
that's how you let magic flow. You have to, yes.
Everybody's magic is not going to work the same. Different things, and it's like what you said. Like you didn't want to feel constricted anymore. You wanted to be free.
And people even wrote me like, "Oh my God, why did you cut your locks? Why I love your?" It's like you're more connected to that than me. How you connected to the hair on my head than I am? But that's because people are holding on to what they feel someone should look like to be spiritual.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But you gotta really dig into their life and see what is you really about it or not? Is you really listening? Are you really divine or not? Like fuck them locks, fuck all that stuff. Like really, you know what I mean? Like I said, I could pull some women that I know from my strip club from days into the spiritual community that will put people to shame with locks. That will give you a reading with no cards. Okay, you know what I mean? And you don't period. And
Yeah.
that got it. And that manifestation on go. They level of protection on go. You know what I mean? So I know that. And I've been able to experience both of the duality of that. And like I wrote in that caption, a lot of the reasons that women are told we got to look like this, we have to do this, is patriarchy. Even in African spirituality, even within our own community, it's there as well. There's control of women and how we should look and how we should be and how we should, act, but still wanting them to drain us of our spiritual power. Like you don't get to control me and use me, like, and need me. You know what I mean? That doesn't make sense. And that's what's happening to a lot of us Black women in spiritual community. We're being told to look a certain way and be a certain way, and we have to look this part, but we're also being drained of our gifts.
Yeah.
So it's like it's not reciprocated energy. And once Black women start freeing themselves of that, we blossom. And that's where I am right now.
I love that. I love that. And the fact that, you cut your locks and so many women wrote you.
So many.
Why?
They're scared.
It's part of the reason why it's just important to be yourself, because you honestly never really know who you're inspiring or what box. Like, you're breaking the box, you're breaking the mold, and you don't know what other boxes and molds you're breaking for other people. And I'm not saying that's the point in sharing. I'm not saying, because sometimes the point in sharing is just for you, and it just happens to help people. But it's like the fact that you did it, it's like it just showed people, oh, it's okay. It's okay to be myself. It's okay to wear this 40-inch bust down, bitch. Okay.
It's okay. Yes. And it is. And I'm also seeing some spiritual people do different things and have these different shifts because you're supposed to.
Yeah.
Y'all may see me in 10 years doing something else. I don't know. You know what I mean? But you're supposed to. You're supposed to use your human experience. Like, I give myself permission to experience all of these things.
Yeah.
I give myself permission to experience all of these things, whether it's locks, weave, blonde weave, whatever it is. I'm giving myself permission. And I think that a lot of us are scared, like, to not look a certain way or to fit into a certain image. And only speaking for the spiritual community. And again, I know this is not every woman with locks. When I had my locks, I loved them. But when I grew out of them, when it was time to let them go, I listened. When it was time to move out of Miami, I listened. When it was, so these different things, when it was time for these shifts and these next chapters, I listened and I moved on. And so, it just is what it is. It's about honor and spirit and being spiritually obedient.
Yeah, and I said change will always happen. Change is a consistent
thing. It's supposed to. It better.
And that's the thing. Like, for you all listening, like, what Miala just said, simply put, is that she listened.
Spiritual obedience.
She was obedient.
And
again, that may not feel easy in the moment, but as you keep trying and keep going and just keep practicing it, it will get easier, because obviously just like, I'm pretty sure by now, I'm not saying everything, but when things come up, you're just like, okay. At this point, instead of maybe before, it's just like, I'm not really sure. Of course, that could be different with different things.
I was very nervous. Of how it would be perceived, all that, but I knew that I did not. Like, y'all want me to do this magic, I can't do it with this hair no more. I can't do it because I ain't no magic working. The sparks is done. Like, the hair is falling off. I got to do something else. Like, you know what I mean? Like, y'all want me to help. Y'all want me to talk. Y'all want me to do the candles. The candles ain't working. I can't do nothing because I have this energy on my head that is done. It's time to let it go. Hair is energy. All these things. Let it go. And my hair was telling me, let me go. It's okay. You are free. Go do it. And I was very nervous, but I had to realize I live in this world and this where image and this aesthetics and how everybody looks with locks and stuff. And like I said, I did it for some time, and it was time to let it go.
Yeah, I definitely did it. You know what started my lock journey? I got tired of wearing a puff every day. Literally, I was wearing a puff.
You was wearing your natural hair though?
I was wearing a puff, just a headband puff. I used to do like 2-strand twists and all these little styles. But when I puff every day, I said, girl, I think I need to go get some locks because I just don't want to do it anymore.
Yes.
But I love my locks.
Yes.
But I just want to say this has been an amazing conversation, Miala. Like, I've enjoyed getting to know you more. I know my selfish babes have enjoyed getting to know you more.
Thank you.
want to ask you, is there anything else you would like to share with us?
Um, I would just say that I hope that by this interview, whether it's the people who have been following me or not, that you see by this interview that I'm a real girl. I'm a real person. I'm a real ass bitch. I'm the same. I'm normal, just like everybody else. You know what I mean? Because I have a lot of people who I think see me a certain way.
Yeah.
And then they have these conversations with me, like, damn. And I hope that this conversation felt like you was talking to your sister, not somebody that was above you, your homegirl. I'm hoping that that's what this feels like. And we could talk about stripping, we could talk about voodoo, we could talk about ancestors, we could talk about making money, we could talk about all these different things.
Brain's about to go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. And that's what I wanted. That's what I hope that y'all see me as your sister, as your homegirl. Like, I'm cool with that. That's why even when we started, like, I don't need to be addressed by my mambo names and my voodoo names. It's okay. Like, because people, yeah, that's cool. And I earned those names. But when I want to connect with Black women, I know I got to talk to, look, let's be like, I don't want to, it doesn't work. Like, we can't connect always on that level. Like, we got to connect as homegirls. Like I said in my post, like, we're going to go here and we're going to go to the underworld. We're going to have tea. Like, I meet you where I meet my community where I have to meet them. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so I know that everybody doesn't connect on those same levels. So it's easier to connect as myself, as my first name, which is Miala. And I hope that makes sense.
Oh, yes. I'm telling you. I'll tell you myself here that I've been talking too, but I feel like this conversation was beautiful. I enjoyed it. I think the energy was great. And some of your stories with faith and trust and obedience, they resonate with me, and it's at the right time, at the right moment. And it's just like a reminder, because when I say change is consistent, and sometimes change is as fuck. And you're like, what the fuck in the moment? But having that trust in spirit, having that trust in your ancestors, having that trust in yourself, go through the change is important and a part of the process. So I just really want to say thank you, Mayla, for being on
Thank you. Thank you so much. This was beautiful. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to end it.